Jesus Christ, you people suck.
Wow.
Wolverine wanted to be just...
Back in the days when we played video games, it was hardcore for the nerdy and lazy. Now things have changed and all our video games are also for the casual and lady.
But that's okay, you know the score. We told you a million times before. Playing consoles, not just games, is in the past. And every week you listen to the best damn internet radio crew. It's the N4G podcast. It's the N4G podcast.
Alright, it's time for another week of N4G Radio. This is episode 717 for October 3rd, 2022. And on the show this week, we've got Anthony's back.
Hello, I'm back from the comic convention I was at last weekend.
You got an autograph, didn't you?
I bought a couple of autographs from the same guy, but no, I actually own a original comic page from him.
Nice.
So,
And we got the Wombat.
yeah.
I did not go to a comic convention or get anyone's autograph last weekend.
Well, it sounds like he had a better weekend than you.
Probably, yes.
Alright. Well, it's video game time. It's time to talk about video games. And before the show, of course, I get told that nobody's played anything, which is cool, which means we're not really talking about anything this week. You know, fuck it. But I'll kick off with Anthony. I know it's been 2 weeks.
Yeah, I haven't played much in those 2 weeks, and I'll tell you why. Over the last 2 weeks, so I'm on vacation this week. Over the last 2 weeks, there's been two of us in my work, and it's just been a nightmare scenario of the amount of work that we have. We're down a person because one person's in BC for work, and then my manager was sick, somebody was off, and it was a nightmare. So I was really stressing out and basically coming home and sleeping. And I did need to finish Sinking City, which we talked about on Phoenix Down. I don't know if that episode's even out yet.
No, he just sent it to me on Saturday, so I haven't had a chance to get it ready.
It's weird uploading. Yeah, it's weird uploading issues on Matt's end that causes the delay. For some reason, it'll tell him that it's going into the Dropbox, and then it doesn't. So I don't know what's happening there, but I know that Drew finally got it made. So I won't talk about that. And honestly, I've just been... So I was playing Assassin's Creed hoping that it would do the same thing Origins did, where it would really capture me. And I'm going to be honest with you, it may just not be the right time, because it's not like the game is horribly different even, but I'm not feeling Odyssey, so I took a step away from it. I'll go back to it eventually. It's not that it's a bad game, I'm just not feeling it at the moment. So I'm like, you know what, I need something. So I still had Never Stop Sneaking on my Switch. I kind of just, it's a mindless stealth game, so I just keep going at that, thinking eventually I'll just hit the 100% and then I can say I'm done and never play it again. I will say this, I did unlock the skin for Dust from An Elysian Tale because it's the same dev, and so that's of course the skin I'm going to use. I don't know, I've just been looking for something, so I'm like, okay, well, stealth, I'm like, let's start up Origami 1 again, because I played through a couple levels, but I don't think I ever finished it. And when I opened up my save, I'm like, yeah, I didn't finish this game. So, and then I have the DLC for the first game. I've heard the second game's not fantastic, unfortunately.
It plays better, but
I've heard it's like a lot of the same level over and over and over again.
Well, it's almost like, and Ryan, correct me if I'm wrong, because I think you played some of this too, like, it's almost like a run-based game. Like, you do your run, and then you get points, and then you can go back and redo the run to do better.
Yeah, I really like the linear stages of the first game.
Yeah, I didn't play a ton of the second one, but from what I played, Ken, I think you're right.
Yeah. It plays so much better, though, which is what kills it for me, because it's just, It's like, man, if I could get the first game to play like the second game, it'd be like the perfect game.
So I'm playing the first one again because I'm just said fuck it. I've started up some games on Switch, which I'm just gonna pull here just to bring up because I don't remember what I was playing otherwise. Okay, so I'm gonna finally write my review for Kirby's Dream Buffet. I'm actually glad I didn't write it once, like right after I was done, because I said, you know what? Let's try to play a match online. I have not been able to play a match online. I don't know if it's lack of players or something else, but nothing from my Switch has changed. Nothing about my internet has changed. It's like I can't find other people. When I do, there isn't enough to make a full set of 4. Then it crashes out and puts me back in the main menu area.
I wonder if it's...
I think this game's
dead. Yeah, I was going to say, like, I saw nobody talking about it, like, even when it launched. I definitely haven't seen anybody talk about it since then.
Yeah.
And, like, I forgot it came out.
It's a good game, but this is my issue with all multiplayer games. And this is Nintendo. This is not, like, an independent dev. So, when I come off harsh about multiplayer games, it really isn't that it's a bad game, it's that it's so reliant on constantly having people there, and no dev can guarantee that. Like, I'm glad that there's computer races in the Kirby's Dream Buffet, but like, that's it. Like, you know, like that's all you'll be able to do eventually, and there's so many levels, and then you're just getting the repetitive nature of it all. And it's just like, well, this is what all multiplayer games end up falling into, is this problem of we don't have players, we have a lot of content. Some multiplayer games don't let you earn that content from single player, at least Kirby's Dream Buffet does, but how do you justify that existence anymore? You know, it's just rough like that. I've played more Made in Abyss. Oh, fuck. It's like, okay, so... The first section of that game starts off really well, and I'm like, ooh, I really like the setup of this. And then it forced me down like a story tunnel where I just stopped engaging with all the mechanics just to get to the next point that it wanted me to get to. That was like at least 3 or 4 hours. So like maybe 30, 40 minutes of this was like of that 4 hours was like actual game time where I was actually playing what they said this was gonna be, and then the rest of that time was just me slogging through linear-ish levels to get to the next part while enemies are attacking, because I'm just like, what's the point of harvesting anything, because and making weapons, it just increases my weight because I'm not having to actually do anything. For the game to then suddenly be like, this is how you fish, this is how you make things like weapons and stuff. It's like, well, why is this so far into the game? Hours into the game. Like, the pacing is so fucking bad. And it's disappointing, because what they kind of promise in the early section, fascinating. I love the idea of, like, you're going down further and further into the hole, and you're going to have a harder and harder time coming back out of it. Cool, let me just do that. But because they want to tell you the plot of the anime, I'm kind of on a linear path. It's frustrating that I have to keep going back to it. Because honestly, I just want to write my review and go, if you want to suffer through this nonsense to actually play the game, go for it. Because when you're actually playing the game, it's fun. But for a long portion of it, I was literally just trying to figure out how I get to the next point to fucking get to the point where I could start earning experience again, and there's missions again, instead of just story that I'm not really interested in to some extent. So, I bought a game called Membrane on Switch. Let me just pull it up because I
don't think I've ever heard of this game.
Okay, so I know about this game because I bought it on sale specifically because the regular price is absurd. Nintendo Life gave it a 9 out of 10. Metacritic gave it a 71%. It is on sale. It was on sale. Give me a second. Yeah, it's on sale for. Or did they change the price? They may have changed the price finally, because at one point it was $300.
I'm sorry,
You heard that right.
I got sidetracked by the soul patch, but $300
Yeah, give me a second here. I'm gonna pull it up.
for what? There is no game worth $300.
No. And I agree. I think it was. I don't. It may have been a mistake because the game was at one point like $12.50 Canadian, and then it shot up to $300. And I think and then it would go back down to $3, and then $300, and then $3 and $300. So I'm like, you know what? It's $3 finally again. Let me play it. It's a weird ass puzzle game.
I was gonna say I just looked up screenshots of it, and I'm like, if this is a $300 game, I am in the wrong motherfucking business.
I think it was probably a really smart idea to have people watch the game for a sale. Be like, well, it's, because that's the reason why I bought it right away. I was like, oh, wait, this is that game that's regular $300 on for $3 finally.
Dude, the quote on the page comes from IGN and says, Beavis and Butthead meets Super Mario.
Sure. I guess. I wouldn't say that. It's psychedelic, and you shoot blocks that you can jump on. It's bizarre. But it's pretty good. It's weird. I enjoy it.
Weird, it says I own it.
I bet you didn't pay $300 for it.
No, it's $2.50 according to this, but it says on the screen that I logged into, it says already downloaded. I'm like, I don't remember ever playing this game.
Alright then.
How do I own a game I don't even remember playing? Oh, it was released in 2018. That is 6,000 years ago. So
yeah. And I finally played the game we've all talked about in the past. Dadish.
Oh, yeah. There's a sequel out now. You gotta...
I own Dadish, Dadish 2, Faust, and Super Faust, and Super Faust 2. It's all the same dev. Dadish is really good.
Yeah, it's a good game.
The writing is what makes it for me, though. You are a dad radish going to collect his children who have run away, and every level ends with you running into one of your kids, and they always say something that like a kid would say, and the dadish is clearly done with them. Go home, or it's like, no, I live here now. Excuse me? Never mind. That's what I thought. And then the level ends. But there was one that made me laugh. You finish the level and it's a possum. You're not my kid. And it just screams.
That checks out.
It's a pretty decent platformer too. I was pretty impressed. I really like the art style. It's a good time. I'm enjoying Dadish. It's still not the game that's like made me go, I love video games again. But I like Dadish for what it is. Very Super Nintendo inspired. Like even the level ending kind of closes like in the triangular formation that Super Mario All-Stars closes with. When the menus switch over. Yeah. So. But that's it for me. I know it's not like much of anything. I need something to make me go, yeah, video games. Woo, come on.
Hey, we're getting into that season. Something may strike your fancy over the next couple months.
Maybe it happens all the time. It's like stress from work ends up having me go, I don't really want to play anything right now.
No,
so I've been reading a lot of comics. Random recommendation. The current run of Ghost Rider is freaking awesome. He doesn't just turn into Ghost Rider, like his skin melts off.
Oh, that's lovely.
And the drawing is awesome, and the whole concept is great because he doesn't fully remember. It's super gory, like it's creepy. Like I'm surprised it's a Marvel comic, to be honest with you. I'm surprised there aren't like warnings on the front, because he's dealing with serial killers and just some of the artwork is disturbed. He has a scar on the back of his head that he keeps touching, and sometimes an eye looks like it's popping out of it, or like teeth. Yeah, it's I'm really enjoying that run, and like, I don't normally recommend comics, but hey, if you like Ghost Rider but you said I really wish Marvel still had some edge, yeah, that's a really good series. And that's it for me. Like, I legit have been just trying to find something that'll pique my fancy.
All right. Well, in that case, I'll move on to Wombat.
That's right. I'm glad I could bless your Discord with 22-year-old Ryan.
He looks like he would say, "Chia!"
I don't think I ever said that once, but it's definitely possible.
Got a little Fred Durst in you there.
Oof. Yeah, don't say that. My hat's on the right way around. All right, so, really, the only things that I've played are Survivor IO, which I always play. It's sort of in constant rotation now. And Cyberpunk, which I'm on the final mission as we speak.
Of the game?
So, yes, of the game.
You haven't made it to the choice yet, have you?
Not quite
Okay.
yet. Yeah, so I know there's an epilogue still, but I'm in the point of no return mission.
Gotcha.
So, yeah. Man, I've been... So, I'll say towards the end of Act 2, a lot of really, really interesting side missions opened up, and I'm glad that I played all of them, because they all had that CDPR level of polish and storytelling for side missions. And there's some really awesome characters in this game. They do a good job leveraging sort of the cyberpunk aspects of this universe to come up with some pretty interesting characters. So I won't spoil anything for people that are playing it, but Ken, I'm sure you came across the clown.
Yes, yeah, I had to think about it. Yeah.
So he's an awesome character, and there's some really good missions. There's the mission where you're helping out the guy who wants to be mayor, which is really, really good. There's the whole mission where you're tracking down a serial kidnapper with the detective, and that mission was really awesome as well. So all the major side characters in the game, the companions is what I'll use for lack of a better term, are really excellent, very well written, well-rounded characters. So yeah, I'll say it again. I say it every time I talk about this game now. I really wish they had just punted this game to next gen and waited, because it deserves a lot better, a lot bigger share of the gaming mindset than it ever got, because of how botched the launch was. And I'm pleased to see it getting sort of its resurgence now, because it is a tremendous game.
Did you do the Edge Runners mission before you went into the final one?
I did not.
Okay. It popped up.
I didn't even know what that one was.
So when I loaded the game back up, I got that mission prompt, because obviously I was back in the world.
Right.
And it prompted me for a new mission that I hadn't seen before. So it'll definitely let you know.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I'll keep an eye out for that when I finish up this mission. So, but yeah, and I got to say that Keanu does a tremendous job in this game. His character is great, and his voice acting is exactly what you would expect from Keanu Reeves.
I got to tell you something funny. You have to understand, my son has never seen John Wick. He
Yep.
just never, I don't think, ever seen a movie with Keanu Reeves in it. It's just never been anything he's interested in. So I was rewatching the John Wick trilogy the other day, and he comes in and he says, "Hey, what are you watching?" And I said, "John Wick." And he, without missing a beat, just looks at me and he goes, "You're breathtaking." And I'm like, what the hell? What? Like, okay.
That's really great.
Yeah, I was like, I don't know where he saw it. It must be one of those YouTubers he watches that's referenced it or something, but
Right.
just
At
weird.
least he didn't do the one of in Cyberpunk 2077. You can become down.
Oh, Jesus.
Welcome down.
Man,
That's one of my favorite videos. Is all the cuts that just has. There's only one problem: getting caught.
dude, I don't. So, not to talk about this game because I'm going to talk a lot about it next week. I was playing a match last night, and in Overwatch you have voice lines, and on console you can program up to 4, like through the directional buttons. And as much as I've played this game, I have never heard this. Somebody combined 4 of the voice lines. And this is pretty common. I do this too, to say different things, but I had never heard this combination, and I swear to God I lost it. I was about ready to like choke from laughing so hard. But he combined the voice lines of Reinhardt. If you know anything about the game, big, giant German accent. And his voice line says this, something to the effect of like, "Check out my cum, it's glittery."
Wow.
I was like, I'm standing there trying to get set up for the defense, and I'm like, what? Oh my God. I lost it. I absolutely lost it. Whew.
Doesn't that happen to the vampires in Twilight?
That is a very good question. I think you need to do the research.
My wife's got those books.
No,
around here
it's
somewhere.
they glitter in the sun.
Well, maybe they were outside.
Oh.
I think you
know?
I think you die when they come in you or some shit. I don't remember, man. That fucking story gets uncomfortably weird, and I only know it through osmosis. Where like the werewolf guy sees the daughter of the girl he likes to be his soulmate. There's a lot of questions that I have, and none of them are are good. All of them are like To Catch a Predator type questions.
I don't know, like you, Wombat. My wife has all those books and has read them all too, so I'm sure she knows.
Hey, at least Twilight is, for all of its oddities, a decently written book. That can be said for the spin-off of that series that started off as fan fiction and turned into 50 Shades of Grey.
Oh Christ! Isn't there
Those are
like
bad. Those are bad books. Those are not well-written books, and they don't understand the source material at all, and I'm not talking about Twilight.
I don't think anybody's reading those books for the quality of the writing.
yeah?
You can get better smut online for free, I am sure of it.
That may be.
It's just...
I don't
gross.
know. Yeah, I've never understood. Like, there's plenty of other smut to be had. But anyway, video games, not.
But anyways, that's really it for me in terms of stuff I've been playing.
All right.
I'm getting ready to start up Dragon Quest V, but I haven't started it up yet. So
Nice. Well, the 2 biggest games that I played this week that weren't Overwatch were actually games I can't tell you about, so that's always fun. I'm playing Hysteragos, and I'm also... I'm sure I can say this much. It feels really weird to play a Persona game on an Xbox. I'll just say
so
that.
we're going to have to roll back for a moment, because the Persona game is there. What was the other game called?
It's called Hysteragos, and actually I pronounced it incorrectly before I played it because I had never heard them say the word.
How do you even spell that? I've never heard of this game.
It's spelled Asterigos, and it is a third-person kind of action-adventure game.
Oh, with the girl that's dressed in blue.
Yes, with the red hair.
Curse of the Stars?
Yes, that's the game.
I see. Okay. Oh, it's published by Tiny Build.
Yes. So I am playing
They had
that.
one of my favorite games this year.
I think I can talk about it next week. I think it's out on the 11th.
It's out on the 11th.
Yeah.
Correct.
So I think
I'm
I
looking
can...
at the Steam page because I've never heard of this game.
There's a
And it's
demo.
not-
There's a demo on Steam you can try out. That's how I discovered it, actually.
Okay, because... And I'm not even criticizing the quality. The game from the screenshots looks fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
It's just one of those things where it's like, I think there's too many games.
There are way too many games. Like, I would have never... I forget how I got interested in this game. Maybe I saw like a screenshot or a video or something. I was like, that looks like my kind of jam. It looks like a third-person action-adventure kind of game.
Art style looks like a better version of Immortals.
Yeah, essentially. It's got a very... Like, the main character has a very Immortals female build vibe to her. So...
But I like the face design on it. The Immortals face designs were all like, what flavor of shit do you want? And I'm like, great. All these people are creepy looking.
Yeah, for real.
Also, looked up. I just wanted to make sure. I'm like, I think Tiny Build did Tinykin, and it's like, yes, they did. Which I gave a 10. Everybody should play that game. It's weird that they've built a franchise out of Despot.
Oh, yeah, I saw that was up on Game Pass this week, right? Despot's game?
Despot's game, Dystopian Army Builder. There's Despotism 3K or whatever. That's where the one that you played where the little people fuck.
Oh, yeah, that weird.
Because that's the same.
Game.
That's the same game. And then there's a third game in that series. I just can't remember what it is. It's just weird that that's a franchise now.
Hey, anything can be a franchise.
Dadish.
Exactly. I did also check out...
The Dadish cinematic universe.
There should be one. Absolutely. I also did check out... I'm not reviewing it, but we did get a couple codes, so I decided to check it out. Was the Dealfield Chronicle, which is that new strategy game mixed with RPG from Square Enix. That's actually really good, and I'm kind of shocked more people aren't talking about it. I guess it's not really a genre that a lot of people are going to be talking about, but like the controls are really well done. I like how simplified like commanding the units are. The units remind me a lot of like the Warcraft 3, where they all like have hero abilities. It's almost like an RPG in the sense that like you can do different tactics and different like attacks based on each of the characters. It's not like controlling a big group of people. You have specific characters, and then in between the battles you go back to like this hub where it goes into a third person mode, and it plays just like a normal third person kind of RPG where you walk around, talk to people, level up skills, craft items, things like that. It's actually really well done. The voice acting is really good. It looks really good. Of course, it's a Square Enix game, so one of the first things it does in the tutorials lets you summon Bahamut and like just obliterate the battlefield. But no, I'm actually shocked more people aren't talking about the game because it is really well done. So, let me see if there was any other big games I played besides those. Oh, in honor of Drew, I thought I would talk about Paw Patrol Grand Prix. That went up on Game Pass this week. It's actually
on a scale, I was gonna say, on a scale of Nicktoon Racers to Speed 3 Grand Prix, where does it lay?
It's about in the middle. It's definitely one of those games. It's like, hey, you're stupid, because it's aimed at kids, and like it's like, hold the A button here to do this, and then press the Y button to get back on the track. And if you don't do it, it's like Dora. It just sits there and waits on your fucking ass to respond. It's like, are you gonna do it? Do it. It's just it holds your hand way too much. Kids aren't this stupid. Just stop treating them like they are. But actually, when you get into play it's actually kind of fun. It controls well. It's a kart racer. You know, you got a Dalmatian with a fire truck and a fire hat. You know what you got. You know what this is. I did start.
The real question, Ken, is it better than Wacky Wheels?
Nothing's better than Wacky Wheels. What are you crazy?
Okay, good.
Wacky Wheels was the bomb. I did try out Grounded 1.0. That game is good. That's a good game. You should check it out now. Really well done.
Maybe that's the game I've been looking for, especially coming off of Tinykin.
Yeah, Grounded is like it is a tree puncher survival game. But
yeah, I'm okay with those. I'm more irritated at this point with tree puncher survival games of setting. I get it. Islands, deserted. We've treaded over or that ground already enough.
Yeah, I think that's what draws me into Grounded is kind of its setting, and what I like about 1.0 is like, I'm going to tell you this game has some incredible music, and also the story is pretty compelling. I can't believe this was like, Obsidian's like side project. Like
here's the team of 4 or 5 people.
It feels so much more polished than that, and that's what happens when you get like the money and the time, and you get to put it into early access, and you don't have to worry about, making sales because it's on Game Pass. Like, this game is really well done, so I definitely recommend checking that out.
Side note, because you just mentioned really good music, and I can't get over Tinykin and how good it was. In my review, I wrote something that was totally just... I don't expect people to read my reviews that listen to the podcast. Maybe you do, maybe you don't. I have not liked the scores, like the musical scores for Ratchet & Clank, ever since they rebooted with the PS4 Ratchet & Clank game. And I was already kind of falling off in the PS3 era. Listen to the Tinykin soundtrack and tell me that wouldn't work for a fucking Ratchet & Clank game.
Dude, that soundtrack in Tinykin is so much better than it has any right to be. Like, that was not even the thing I was thinking about when I was playing it, but every time I noticed it, I was like, God, this is so good.
And that was my only complaint I could make with the game, was that, like, this music isn't hummable. It is not something that is going to get stuck in your head. But god damn, it's good music.
Yeah, it really is. Like, shockingly good music.
And like, I looked up the guy's history. He hasn't done much, like many video game scores. I think he did like one other. And it's like super indie. So
hey,
hire him.
I hope Tinykin like booms that, and like everybody that worked on that game deserves to make another game for sure.
I'd love to see them do another platformer.
100%.
In the same style with the same character. I don't give a shit what they do.
Dude, if Tinykin 2 gets announced, I'm there day one.
Yeah.
Alright, let me go through the indie games. Boy, we had a weird selection this week. I'll start with Moonscars. That's exactly what you think it is. It's a side-scrolling...
That's the really dark black and white sort of looking game, right?
It's essentially pixelated Dark Souls.
I think I played a demo of this and was horribly disappointed with how Dark Souls it was.
It's extremely Dark Souls, and it's like, it doesn't even try to disguise it. Like, it just flat out says, this is Dark Souls.
This is a bonfire. I see.
Yeah. I don't know how these guys keep getting to make it, but they're Axis Football 2023, like, there's one of these every year, and they're never very good. The only thing... Oh, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. I was going to ask what type of football, but I'm assuming it's
like NFL.
Yeah.
Yeah. The only thing this game has going for it is that every year they manage to get the guy that did the announcing for the old 2K games, the ESPN and NFL 2K games. Like, he's the announcer, and that's the only hook they have, because the game just... You can complain about Madden every year, your little nuances and how it doesn't innovate. Go play this is light years behind what Madden is.
I'm looking, Ken. Newly designed stadiums.
Yeah, I couldn't tell.
Hold on, the trailer is still going, and it's showing off the new stadium. Upgraded lighting system, Ken. they're making huge strides here. That the lighting system now looks like it's on a PS2.
Yeah. Look at the animation of the players when they hit each other.
Hundreds of new tackles. Ken, are you reading?
I played the game. I played the game.
It looks momentum based. It looks like and man, I think PS2 had more texture mapping.
I play one game of Axis Football every year, and every year it's not good. So I'm just putting that out there. This is a Ryan 100% game. I played Pathfinder, Wrath of the Righteous, and this game was so Ryan that I deleted it immediately because it's totally not my jam. Totally not.
The second Pathfinder game.
Yeah, it is totally like create your character, Dungeons and Dragons style storytelling, like isometric turn-based combat. Like this is Divinity Original Sin style game.
Interesting.
It's really good. I'll tell you that it's really good.
I'm curious to know if it's... So I played Pathfinder, the tabletop. And we have since switched to D&D 5e. Pathfinder, for those that don't know, is a spin-off of D&D 3rd edition. And leveling up is a chore. And I am curious to know if leveling up characters in this is also a chore. Because there's so much to fucking do.
Dude, the menu to create my character gave me a headache. So
let me guess. It gave you a bunch of skill points, and it's like, here's 23 skill points.
Yeah.
Figure it out.
It's exactly that.
And you're just like, oh my god. Yeah, so every time you level up in Pathfinder, you have to do your standard health roll, and then you have to do all your skill points, but then your skill points is based off of like race and your
religion and all stuff like that.
Well, not your religion, your class, and then you have some feats that affect it. But then you also have like, dude, it was a headache doing it in real life. To stay true to Pathfinder, you almost need that still. The level of customization in Pathfinder is insane.
Yeah, that holds true to the game, 100%.
I'd have to set aside an hour to level up my character. That's how long it took to level up in Pathfinder.
Yep.
Do I want to do this or... and then, I'm sorry, if you play as a spellcaster and you now have new spells you can get, have fun.
Yeah, I don't have time for that shit. I got too much Overwatch.
Nobody's got time for that. Play 5e.
The next game is called Tip Top Don't Fall. I'm trying to think of the name of the game. It was on Switch. It was a co-op game where like you use your left and right hand. You were the little ball. My son and I played the shit out of this game. What the hell was it called? But this game is very much kind of in that same vein where you use the left and right triggers as a hand, and each hand... No, not snipper clips. It was... Fuck. You're going to drive me crazy now because I can't think of the name of this game. Heave Ho. That is the game I'm trying to think of. Heave Ho. You use the left and right triggers to like grab with the hand, and then you move the hand with the analog stick when you let go. So like that's how the control works. And in Tip Top Don't Fall, you are rock climbing, and you're using your hands to do that. In this one, you can hold both and hold down the A button to kind of jump up a ledge as long as you can manage to grab. It's fine. The controls aren't as precise as you need them to be. Like Heave Ho perfected that. So... The next game is Weedcraft Inc., and it is exactly what you think it is. It is a management sim where you're building a weed repository out of your basement. So you and your brother build a weed repository and start a business selling weed, and it's full on like you got to go into the menus and like change prices of things and invest in like what kind of care you want to take care of the weed. Like it is all 100% that. It's crazy. The next game I played is called Carl, Carl, an acronym. I forget something robot something, I don't remember. It's a side-scrolling platformer. It's perfectly fine. Nothing special about it. World of Outlaws Dirt Racing, funny car racing. You know what it is. Plays well. One Hell of a Ride is a game that I was hoping would be better. Think of it of like a full auto. I know I'm really reaching into the back of the 360 launch bag there, but if you remember, Full Auto was a racing game where you had like machine guns on the top of your car and you could shoot other players. It's that. It feels like a mobile game. The controls are not great and it doesn't look all that good. It's a cool idea, just didn't pan out. And then I have to say, if somebody can play the Taps music, because I've officially played my last match of Overwatch last night. It's over.
If I had a kazoo, it would sound actually better.
Dude, you totally need to get a kazoo for the show.
I will go to the local dollar store and see if I can find a kazoo.
Yeah, I knew yesterday was going to be my last day playing because I watch football on Sunday, so I don't play games during the fall on Sundays. And I had my last match last night. That's it. I will never play the game that I spent 6 years playing.
You know who has this week off? Me. You know who's probably going to try the Overwatch sequel?
Dude, if you don't play with us, I'm totally going to be upset with you because we all played together and it was super fun.
Okay, look. One, don't like multiplayer games in general. And two, I've been falling asleep. What the fuck was I going to do? Also, I think I was out the night that you guys all played together. I was at a baseball game.
Well, that's fine.
Where I didn't see the 61st home run because they kept fucking...
Well, I want...
Just me complaining about Toronto sucking an egg on both fronts.
Everybody had a good time, and they're all... Like, they had all stopped playing for a very long time. And when we all played together, they got interested, and we're all going to play 2 together. So you've got to play.
I'm going to give a couple matches to 2 with randos, just to see if I'm even feeling the game before I promise you anything.
Okay, well, we had a ball.
Because if I'm not feeling it, it's just going to be one of those, like, man, I just don't
Anthony,
find enjoyment out of the movement.
If you joined us, it would be a perfect 5-stack.
Let me figure out the characters first.
Okay, well,
Quick.
You might... Let me tell you this. You might want to join with us, or at least with me, because remember... You don't get access to them.
Oh, I'm even talking the original characters.
Yeah, you don't get access to those if you've never played the game.
What?
Yeah.
Oh, you need to play 1 to get the...
You need to have had the original game. You need to have played it to unlock all the heroes. Otherwise, you only get access to them if you group up with somebody who has them.
Man, alright. Well, whatever.
But
I'll just go with the flow for the first little bit to see what the fuck
okay
I'm even getting into.
Well, you can always reach out to me.
Because like, I've played my time in TF2. And I just don't know if I'm interested in going back to a game like that. I realize there's differences. I understand that, but the skeleton of TF2 and whatever TF2 is now are 2 different things, as is the skeleton of TF2 and Overwatch are different things. But, I liked pushing payloads in TF2.
Oh, man, payload pushing has never been better than it is in Overwatch.
I don't know about that, but, because I haven't played it. But I will, I'll see.
Alright. No, if you can't tell, I'm super excited. Tuesday is the day, and that'll roll us right into new releases. Tuesday, Overwatch 2 is finally out. We've also got Alfred Hitchcock Vertigo, Dakar Desert Rally, Falling Out.
I'm excited about that Vertigo game. I am horribly nervous about that Vertigo game.
Well, we'll see. Isn't it on Game Pass? Didn't I see somewhere?
I think so. I don't know. I thought that game was supposed to come out earlier this year and then got delayed. So
I think it's on Game Pass, so I think you'll be able to try it out without any investment. Dragon Prana, whatever that is. LOL, surprise, BB's Born to Travel. That's a name for a video game.
that's based off the toy line.
Okay.
I only know about it because my cousin's daughter liked those things, and I'm not sure really if it's like the dolls that come in them.
Coming up with a lot of justifications here is what I'm hearing.
It was this. Okay, so they bought her this giant piece of plastic. I don't remember if it was egg shaped or not. Maybe it was just a sphere. And the whole goal of it was to you unwrap like a level, and then there's like a sticker or something, and then you unwrap more. Dude, the amount of plastic waste that came off this fucking toy was absurd. And then I think there was like a little toy in the middle of it too. So I don't know how you turn that into a game, but all right.
Also, this week we've got Drew's next favorite game, My Friend Peppa Pig, the complete edition, and PJ Masks Heroes of the Night, complete edition.
Oh, both of those sound like they'll be right up Drew's alley.
That's right, man. It's playing them hot new games. PlayStation 5 is exactly the same.
So I looked up Dragon Prana, which I'm assuming is spelled Prana.
That's the one.
It looks like it was a mobile game beforehand, and it looks like it's like a pretty in-depth RPG, but like a classic style RPG with like a skill tree and stuff. But it's one of those Kemco games, so
yeah, that's
mileage may vary.
Yeah, I don't trust Kemco RPGs. PS4 and Xbox One. I'm gonna apologize. The PS4 is all the same except for one game, and I read it wrong. I read it. So the game is called Yum Yum Cookstar. Can you guess how I misread it?
No.
I read it as Yum Yum Cockstar.
Oh, well, that was not the way I was seeing it.
Yeah.
I was gonna... We were all in that same general vicinity, I am sure.
Oh, Xbox.
I definitely thought one of those Y's were C's.
Yeah. Xbox One is also this, literally the same games are coming out on everything this week. Xbox is also getting Paper Flight, Super Speed Dash. So, super exciting there. Nintendo Switch, of course it's 2 pages, because it's the fucking Nintendo Switch. We've got Dino.
It's the motherfucking Nintendo Switch.
Can you send me this list, Ken? Where do you view this list?
I'm on GameFAQs.
Okay, give me a second here. GameFAQs. I'm just curious because I want to see this list so I don't have to keep asking you for.
Yes, if you click on Switch at the top and scroll down, you'll see new releases, and then I click into more.
The upcoming releases.
Yep, and I set it to North America. And Switch always makes me click in because there's always so many that I have to click into the page.
Oh, North America. Oh, wow, okay.
Yeah. So, Nintendo Switch, this week we got Dino Gotchi, Hazelnut Hex, Mission 1985, Snug Finder, More Fun, Caddish, Guardian.
Is that like Dadish only with a cat radish?
But it's spelled K with a K.
Oh.
Guardian Tales. Is this a remaster?
Give me a second, I will find out.
Because Guardian Tales was on the PS1, correct?
No, not this one, apparently.
Okay, so it's not the same, like the Goofy Bunny Rabbit game from the PS1?
This is it looks like it came out in 2020 originally.
Okay.
It looks like I will say this, the pixel art on it reminds me a bit of the Minish Cap, where it was like really well done, but sort of almost faux 3D cartoony look. Guardian Tales, A Link to Classic Adventure, which I'm sure is
Zelda.
Begin your adventure in Canterbury, a world in turmoil from the invaders' attack, puzzle-solving gameplay, lift heavy boulders, throw explosive bombs, and sling yourself across obstacles to find hidden pathways to amazing treasures.
I got
strategic action combat, dodge, duck, dip, dive, and dodge your way. That was 2 dodges. Your way to victory against powerful foes and massive bosses, challenging dungeons. Here's where it gets weird, because I was looking at the screenshots. Intense PvP and rankings.
Okay.
Lots of 50 heroes and 100 different weapons. Create a guild with friends. Customize your floating castle. Tribute parodies. Do you like Easter eggs? There are a ton of in-game Easter eggs. Challenge yourself to discover them all. Stories, missions, quests, events, rewards, and so much more. It's a free-to-play game.
Gotcha. And by the way, the game I was thinking of on PS1 was Guardians Crusade.
I never heard of that.
It was made by Tamsoft, the makers of Battle Arena Toshinden.
Tamsoft. Whatever happened to Tamsoft?
There's actually
they went out of
a
business.
Matt McMuscles video about Toshinden, I think, that explains what happens to them.
Okay, so I looked up Kadish. It looks like Baba is you, but a side-scroller platform puzzler thing. The only reason why I say it looks like it's not the same people. But I looked it up looked at it and said that because it's like got that weird like vague shapes. Like, oh, this kind of looks like a cat.
Gotcha.
It's clearly supposed to be a cat, but it doesn't really look like a cat.
Alright, moving on. We got Alfred Hitchcock Vertigo, Pharaoh Slug, Let's Sing ABBA, Mutant Mudds Collection.
I didn't know that. I didn't know that was a thing still, Let's Sing.
Clearly, but it's apparently only on the Switch. So.
Huh.
Zeo Drifter, again, Yum Yum Cockstar.
Can I just say, don't buy Mutant Mudds Collection or Zeo Drifter. That dev has taken money to recreate Chicken Wiggle, and then he decided to call it Hatch Tales for Switch 2 or 3 years ago, and has done everything but that game.
I love that name, though. Chicken Wiggle is a great name.
Yeah, and then he changed it to Hatch Tales. Like, why? Chicken Wiggle is a fantastic game. You're literally playing as a small chicken with a worm in his backpack.
That is fucking amazing.
And yeah, he's taken money and he's done a bunch of other shit in the meantime and not done that game. So don't support him. I bought the Atui collection for 3DS, and apparently Chicken Wiggle in that game, like in that collection, has a bug in it, and it's never been fixed. And it's not in the original version either. So, good job.
Bus Driving Simulator 22, Tribe Explorer, Billiard Classic 8-Ball Pool, Brick Breaker Ball Shooter. Boy, I read this one wrong too, and I apologize. Clockmaker My Clock version digital with timer. Cosmo Players, Saijin the Cyborg Ninja, Falling Out, dude, I can't pronounce this. Isekai Bride Hunting.
The only reason why I know what... why did I search this? Isekai means like another world. Like the character is taken out of one world and put in another. Oh god, it's furry shit.
It's a bride hunting game. What did you expect?
Yeah, but it's also furries. And I'm not shitting on furries, but that's a very specific audience combination there.
Jewel Diamonds, Josh Journey, Darkness Totems, Maze Blaze, Memory, the original matching game from Ravensburger, Nier Automata, the End of Yorha edition,
Yay.
Super Jagger Bomb, Wizorb, Europa.
Wizord's pretty good. If it's the same game that was on Steam, it's a brick breaker. But, like, looks like an old NES game.
Okay,
It's kind of got
yeah.
like a Zelda aesthetic. It's a really good game. Glad it's still around.
A Frog's Job.
Flies.
Chaos Child, Chaos Head Noah, Chaos Child Double Pack, Endless Memories, Drew's favorite games, Peppa Pig, LOL, and PJ Masks. We got No Man's Sky finally making it to the Switch this week. Proteus, Splatter, Zombie Apocalypse Now,
Proteus is the first-person shooter.
Yes, that's on Game Pass. You should play that game. It's awesome. Taiko no Tatsujin Rhythm Festival and Ultra Mega Extra Party Challenge. Say that 3 times fast.
Hold on, you forgot there.
What I missed?
On Saturday, Lawnmower Mortal Race.
Ooh, boy.
Lawnmower Mortal Race.
I mean, racing a lawnmower is a mortal endeavor.
Wow, this is some shit. So bad looking.
I mean, I don't know what you
Lawnmower
expect.
game saga continues. Try to finish different tracks below the target time.
Sure.
Yeah.
Let's do news.
Also, Ultra Mega Extra Party Challenge looks like a bad WarioWare clone.
I mean, there's probably hundreds of those out there. All right. News. We've got our free games for the month. Well, some of them, because PlayStation's like, fuck it, we ain't going to tell you what premium and extra get you this month. But we do have the PlayStation Plus Essential games. Those include Super Hot, Injustice 2, and Hot Wheels Unleashed. Another banger month for PlayStation free games. On the flip side of that coin, we have the games with gold, which is the first month without Xbox 360 games, and Microsoft decided to just blow it out, man. Go whole hog and give us Windbound and Bomber Crew. Get rid of games with gold. Now.
Yeah, that's a wet fart of a...
Dude, it's terrible. That's 2 games, and I'm not saying they're bad games. They're both okay. But that is just a like, you take less of a PR hit by giving nothing. Truly, nothing.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just disappointing that there's literally like...
When your competition
mediocrity.
is killing it every month, it makes it look even worse. Like, you can't deny that Hot Wheels, Injustice 2, and Super Hot, that is a fucking great collection of free games.
Super hot. Super hot.
Yeah. Not
That game in VR is tremendous.
That
might be one of the best VR games.
This is not the VR version, though, unfortunately.
No, I know.
But you're right. Also, why is Sony not giving us the premium and the essential or the extra games? It's October. We should have our games, right?
Jim Ryan is currently busy crying.
Okay, well, we'll
publicly.
transition into that.
I'm just making a note that we can come back to that later. That he is publicly making an ass out of himself.
Yeah. I actually have that news story, and I have to steal a joke from somebody on Twitter that I follow. His name is Electric DC.
I was gonna say, just take credit for it yourself.
No, I like this guy. He's a good guy.
Twitter.
He's a good guy. His joke was Jim went to Brussels. Jim Ryan flew to Brussels to complain about the Activision Blizzard merger with Xbox, and his tweet was, "This is Jim Ryan's actually Brussels pouts." I'm sorry. That's funny.
Not bad. It's a bad pun, but that's a pretty smart pun at the same time.
Yeah.
I go, ugh, but...
This guy, man. What the... Like, if you...
So,
no, go ahead.
No, keep going, because I'm going to break flow and go back to some of the games we were talking about in that coming out
I was
stuff,
just
but...
I was just going to say, like, man, for a dude... This dude is like... He just wants you to hate him, and he's very good at making that case. I just don't get it.
I just don't... I get it. I understand that, like, well, if it works in our favor, we're going to do it, and then if it doesn't work in our favor, we're going to bitch about it. I understand that. But, like, Microsoft had a better response when the whole video game, like, trading video games thing came out. How do you share video games? Microsoft just didn't say anything. It's just one of those, like, what a whiny bitch that's in charge of your company. I just can't imagine other like, companies of other mediums, like movies and music, coming out and whining like Jim Ryan does. I just don't... I've been told to vamp. If you are tired of my voice already, I've been told to vamp. I'm just breaking character now. Ken is indisposed currently, and I don't care about calling him out or not. So here we are, just talking by myself. Brian's here, but he's not saying anything.
I am also here. I was on mute. I apologize.
It's okay.
So I can assist you with vamping. I have
Quick, jazz hands.
nanobots, which allow me to vamp.
You don't have to vamp
And
anymore.
also allow me
It's
to
because
dance on water.
It's because I
It's too late now, Ken.
it's-
It's too late.
I was gonna
I'm on the roll.
Is he named Vamp because he's a vampire? No, it's because he's bisexual.
Oh
That's
God,
a real line.
we're doing the Metal Gear Solid
Alright.
2 shit? Okay.
Oh, that's a real line. Okay, so
He dances on the water.
what a
Vamp on the water.
Did you know that war is bad? Now, excuse me while this man runs across water and sucks blood from people.
But he's not an actual vampire.
No.
Guys,
No,
be
no.
serious.
Yeah, that'd be stupid.
Yeah, I just can't imagine. While you're away, Ken, I just said I can't imagine any other medium where the CEO of a company would come out and cry about the competition like this.
While he's doing the same thing himself and securing exclusives for his platform, which I totally understand.
Yes, but, like, imagine Universal Music coming out and crying about Warner Brothers this way.
So I think this kind of stuff does happen a lot more than we know.
On a
It just
public
happens
level?
behind the scenes.
Yeah.
That's what I was just getting ready to say. Not at a public level.
Sure.
There's, almost no, so I've mentioned on here before, I work in consumer finance. I know for a fact that competitors in that space tell on each other to regulators and whoever else will listen, because that's kind of what they do, right? That's what corporations do, is they try to find any advantage they can, and sometimes that advantage means trying to sell your competitors out.
But how many
But
are
I think,
this pathetic?
well, the hypocrisy is the thing. But I think genuinely this happens all over the place. We just don't hear about it.
Yeah.
And so I mentioned before, I'm not generally a fan of these big mergers and acquisitions anyway.
Mm-hmm.
But so I'm not actually a fan of one platform controlling something like Activision Blizzard. But at the same time, I will freely admit that the Jim Ryan stuff is pathetic and very hypocritical from them.
And you know what? You're right. Will it benefit me as a consumer potentially? Yes. Could it absolutely fuck me too? For 100%. The acquisition going through. But to rally the troops online, because that's what this is.
Yeah, it's
Jim
the
Ryan's
people
doing
defending
all this
him.
shit.
Yeah.
Yes. It's pathetic.
To have people complain. Because otherwise this would be held like any other, behind the scenes thing. Would we hear rumblings of it? I'm sure we would. Someone would say something. And the people in the know, I hate to point us out, but like the people that are interested in that would know about it. But it wouldn't be a public event the way this has been. Especially, when he's doing this shit himself. But, the hypocrisy's bad, but it's just the the groveling nature of it all that just really puts the bad taste in my mouth. Because I know companies are gonna be hypocritical. That's just how companies are. That's how this whole thing works. That's how business works. You know, you're saying like they tattle on each other. Yeah, well, they do the same thing, right? It's
Oh,
just
yeah,
how
sure.
much
Yeah.
can we? How much do we hide it better than our competition?
Yep.
I am willing to accept the hypocrisy. I mean, everybody's a bit of a hypocrite at times. I definitely am. So I'm not going to call that out when it's just the more of the, Jesus Christ, you're a CEO that's paid way too much money to go and cry publicly to rally the troops. Like, I'm sorry, but like Sony Lover 17 on Twitter's opinion means fuck all. Like, you know, you're building this toxic fan base, and then, you know, years later, you know, we are against the toxic fan base that is using our platform. Guy, you made it.
Yeah, it's kind of
Like-
your fault.
You know, like Microsoft allowed that shit for too long too.
Oh yeah, it was terrible.
Yeah, so it's just one of those like, just the whole thing is just so sad, just depressing. Of like, oh, stop it. I do in positive news. I looked up some of those games that are coming out on Switch. Most of them look bad.
Yeah.
But I do want to point out a couple. Falling Out is a 2D roguelite, but it says it's accessible, which tells me that it's probably on the very light end of things. The graphics on it are great. It kind of reminds me of like Spelunky, but it looks great. You can do co-op in it, co-op versus or single player. It looks really, really well done. So I wanted to point that out. That's coming out this week. Josh Journey doesn't have the greatest graphics ever, but it's a beat 'em up, a 4-player beat 'em up with like skill trees and stuff, which is not something I would expect from an independent dev, especially with all the big beat 'em ups coming out as of late. But neat. And then Endless Memories is what I'm assuming they just don't want to say Metroidvania, a vast handcrafted non-linear dream world to explore and get lost.
That's a Metroidvania.
Yeah. Looks like a bit like a more cartoony Castlevania. By that I mean like the character has a little bit more of a soft look. Almost looks like a Final Fantasy Tactics character. But the artwork is really good in that too. That looks like it's probably a really good time. So I've scoured the Switch releases and have some decent recommendations potentially to actually take a look at instead of looking at all of them.
Perfect.
I'll try to do this ahead of time so you don't have to go through the list of all the games that are coming out, because half of them are shit.
Oh, I know half of them are shit. I look at the eShop at least once a week. Oh my god, it's 90% shit. Alright, to continue with the Sony news, boy, it just keeps getting better and better. So the PlayStation Stars that was shown off in that PlayStation Showcase recently, where it's like the rewards program where you can, for some reason, earn digital trophies or something. So a story came out this week, and I'm sure this is going to get debunked. This can't be real. But apparently, top-tier members of their Stars program will get customer support priority.
Yeah, that's really not much different than something like an airline, though. Because I at one point in my life traveled a decent amount for work and was a Delta Sky Miles member, and you get escalated customer support that way.
It's still a bad look, though, when nobody else does it in this business.
Yeah, nobody else does it in this industry. That's true. But
I
I actually don't have much trouble with the people who spend the most money on your stuff get the better service priority. I think that's relatively standard outside of this industry. Again, if I'm a Hilton, so I was a Hilton Honors member at one point,
Fancy.
and
was gonna say watch him drop names. I get it. You have to travel. It happens.
You get. My point is, you get perks for spending more money with business, right?
There's a bad joke I could
this
make.
this feels like a I don't know. This feels like a you guys have seen the that bitch over there eating crackers like she owns the place meme.
Yeah.
That's what this feels like to me. This feels like there's a lot of bad shit coming out of Sony, and so this comes out and everybody makes a bigger deal out of it than it actually is.
Yeah.
Because really, like I said, this is relatively standard in a lot of other industries to give priority support to the folks who spend the most money with you.
I understand that logic, right? You don't, because if anyone that's worked in any sort of customer service has met that person that goes, I will never come back here ever again, and makes a big fuss, and it's like their first time entering the store, and they came in just to take advantage of like a pricing error or something, and now they're fighting tooth and nail. I get it. I get that logic. My issue is that this arbitrary reward system thing is going to be the thing that gets you, like, I still don't know how this works, this weird PlayStation Stars thing. So
I don't think anybody really has a great sense of how it works yet.
I have a feeling this is somebody seeing like, oh, what if it's this, and saying it because they think it's true. I will say this: I have had terrible customer service in the past with Sony. When they switched to Twitter, I found it much easier to deal with them. They still had their live client on their website, but I found them much better. And if it's a switch back to like how they worked previously, it's going to be a bad time regardless of how much money you spend. And as someone that spent a lot of money during the PS3 and PS4 era on Sony products, if I were to upgrade to a PS5, does that say anything to them? Right? Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's just this weird, like, where are they saying, okay, now it matters? I don't know. This whole generation, and I'm not even just shitting on Sony here, is just like this nightmare scenario of like, this is where the hobby dies, guys.
To continue the PlayStation news, PS5 is getting an upgraded / cheaper chip, so it'll be cheaper to make the console going forward. Don't expect a price drop though.
Yeah, I was gonna say, but it'll still be $50 more in Canada.
Well, it'll be $50 more everywhere in the world except for the United States.
Yeah, they can get fucked. Like, that's also horseshit. We can make the consoles cheaper, but we're gonna charge more.
Yeah, that's still, like, that to me has got to be the biggest, like, bad news Sony could have had this year, is raising the price of your console during a recession, during inflation. Like, that is a terrible look.
Well, I'm waiting for a redesign anyways, because I still think it's one of the worst looking consoles ever.
It's pretty bad looking. That's why I got black side pieces for mine, so it kind of hides how bad it looks.
I know people joked about the Xbox Series X, but to me, I'm like, I much prefer the black monolith from 2001: A Space Odyssey than whatever the fucking blooming lotus design the PlayStation 5 is.
Yeah, it looks much better in like your entertainment center. Although it's a giant pain in the ass to put in your entertainment center if you want to stand it up. So,
like, the PlayStation 5 looks like it should sit in the center of a table over dinner, or like you walk in and it also looks like it should spread fragrance out of it.
Yeah, it's a Febreze.
Looks like a giant Glade plug-in.
Yeah. Final Sony news is actually good news. Sackboy: A Big Adventure is coming to PC on October 27th.
I like Sackboy. The character of the game, all of it. I really wish I liked Little Big Planet more.
Yeah. Bring more games to
Sackboy's
PC,
good.
though. Bring more PlayStation games to PC. It's a good thing. All right. Titanfall is making a return. You want to guess how?
As a mode in Apex?
Congratulations. They're bringing Titanfall maps
Jesus.
to Apex Legends. Yeah. Here's some cool news. In the year of delays, we're getting a game moved up a week, and it is the very squishy Scorn. So
They've been working on it for like 5 years.
Well, you get to play it a week early. So
I've heard things about that game. None of them are like super negative. A lot of them are like, this is very weird. Like game design wise, not even the art design.
yeah, it's like a puzzle.
weird-
It's a lot of puzzle. Like there's hardly any
Yeah.
combat.
Which is probably fine because I want to actually look at the environments they made rather than like blasting through it at high speeds with guns.
Yeah. Well, it's on Game Pass, so you have to check
That's
it
how I'll
out.
be playing it. If it plays on Xbox One, a Series 1, or a fucking Jesus Christ, the naming convention. They got me. The Xbox One.
I think it is. I don't
I
remember.
don't know anymore.
If not,
Pay
maybe you
attention.
can stream it from the cloud.
Oh.
Am I
Or-
transitioning? No,
I
not
don't know,
yet.
Mark.
Not yet.
Not yet. Not yet. He hasn't got the meds yet.
The EA,
Hasn't got the hormones yet to transition.
yeah, the EA Koei Tecmo game was showed this week. It was called Wild Hearts. It's out on February 17th, and that is Monster Hunter. Holy shit!
It looks awesome. I hope it plays well because it looks awesome, and the box stuff where you can do the different inventions and everything looks really cool.
Yeah, it's a cool looking game. It's totally not my jam, but it looks cool.
Koei Tecmo is really good at taking other people's ideas and doing something weird with them, but isn't that their second Monster Hunter game?
Yeah, the first one was Tukiden. Is that how you say it?
Tukiden? I don't know.
Yeah,
I
they
honestly
made
don't know.
two
I've
of
only
those.
ever read it.
They made two of those games.
I
so-
thought there was 3 of them.
Is there 3? Maybe there is 3.
I think there's the original and then the remake of the original, and then 2.
Okay. Those
Yeah,
were
the first game I think was a Vita game, and then it was like, oh sorry, it was a PlayStation Portable and Vita game, and then it was Kiwami, which was a portable, a Vita, a PlayStation 4, and Windows game. So the Kiwami was the remake, and then they did the second game. Why is it not here? But
I thought it was just Tukiden 2.
I thought so too, but I don't see.
Yeah, I think that's what it's called.
Interesting.
Yeah, Tukiden 2. Oh, I see, because it was developed by Omega Force. The first one wasn't? Was. Okay, weird. It doesn't- it
Omega
doesn't-
Boost.
Bloody
Bloody
raw.
raw. X-Files.
Metal Gear
Oh, I'm the
Solid. Tekken 3.
Okay.
Uh,
Winning 11 is still the most forced line in that whole thing.
oh, such a weird band. Such a weird song. Unfortunately, not everything gets to make it out on time. Skull and Bones was delayed till March.
The 6 people that care about Skull and Bones.
Hey, one of them's on the
Terrence.
show. Yeah, one of them's on the show, so...
Yeah.
Okay, so it probably won't come up in the news, but apparently Let It Die is back.
Yeah, it's called Death Verse or something.
And all I can think about is Let It Die is a pretty accurate name for all these types of games.
Yeah.
Let It Die. Let It Die is... You should let it die.
What if you
Skull
could
and
punch a
Bones,
tree with
Let
a
It
ship?
Die. If the ship grew muscular arms and legs and kind of looked like something from oh my god, what's that team's name?
Oh, you're talking about the guys
Ace Team?
Ace Team, yeah.
Yeah, if it looked like something from Ace Team, I'd play the shit out of that game.
You know what? I would
Are
too.
you- Right?
Yeah.
You'd be like, man, I don't know. Like, it's weird that like my ship can like punch trees, and then you'd be like, yeah, but
Your ship can fucking
it
punch
has
trees.
and it has arms and legs and looks like Arnold Schwarzenegger.
That was bad. I was gonna go with
was.
Popeye, but yeah,
Pop out of the sailing boat.
that's right. Let's do this. According to reports, Lucasfilm is looking to get into a cadence to have 2 Star Wars games per year. So that's one every 6 months.
Could we not?
I mean, we could, but that's not gonna happen.
Because like, does that include mobile stuff?
I'd assume it's just a Star Wars game in general, so like Rebels could be one game, and then not Force Unleashed. Oh my God,
I would rather
Fallen
not
Order 2 could be another.
Try
one.
to fill 2 games a year and just let shit come out when it comes out.
Yeah, that's the way it should be. But, you know, these companies, their business, they got to have cadence. They got to have quarterly reports. Talking about acquisitions, I know nobody's for them, but the Saudi Arabia Savvy Games Group is looking to invest $37 billion into acquiring video game publishers and including $13 billion to acquire a leading game publisher. Any guesses as to who that would be?
I've heard two names come up. One of them seems, unfortunately, realistic.
Yeah.
The other one says no. I've heard Capcom.
That would be tough, but I could see it.
It would be tough, but that's a possible one. The other one's Embracer, and I just can't see Embracer being bought out like that.
Well, I can tell you it's not EA, Ryan, because EA's what is it? Their net worth is like $37 billion, so it would have to be above that. So $13 billion won't
That's
cover.
what they want you to think.
Yeah, I think that's public knowledge. You know what? I think it's Embracer. I know you don't think they'll get bought, but the Saudis, you know, they can buy it.
They can
I also saw
not chop the heads off of journalists. I'm just saying.
Yeah,
Like, that's a good way to make... Listen, I understand that, like, we all make these, like, little caveats in our head of, like, who we find it okay to buy from, right? Like, Ubisoft has
lots of
a
problems.
lot of problems. EA had lots of problems. I don't hear as many horror stories out of their working conditions anymore. I think Ubisoft has kind of stolen all that from them. And, you know, Nintendo recently had someone come out, which doesn't happen too often, but hey.
The Saudis also invest in Nintendo, just FYI.
Yes, but unfortunately, like, anyone that invests in these companies is probably going to be shitty. Like, I understand that. It's how much control they have over a scenario, and when they own the majority stake in something... You know, now it's not so much of a, well, unfortunately, they, like any other group, like any other person could buy stock in that company. You know, like, that's unfortunately the world of stocks. But when you have majority control...
It's not a stock, it's an investment that they have in Nintendo. That's what it is, because they have it in Nintendo, and they also have it in... They own SNK, I think.
They own SNK, which is why I won't buy anything from SNK, because I know it sounds weird, but it's like... I don't buy a lot of Activision games, so I didn't really have to worry about buying anything from Activision. So I wasn't going to... You know, when all those stories came out, it was like, well, I don't buy anything from this company already. You know, I don't buy anything from Nestle because the CEO said water is not an essential need. So I don't know how I can overcome that fact of somebody saying something so clearly malicious or stupid, but we know it's malicious. So they can sell you bottles of water. But straight up murder is kind of like a good, easy line to draw for me.
You would think, but WWE should have drawn it a long time ago.
Yeah, but that's because Vince McMahon is not a good person.
Well, Vince McMahon's not there anymore, and there's still the Saudi deal still goes on. So
oh, fun. Well, is Vince McMahon really gone? I'm gonna ask that question now because I legitimately am just curious, or is he just puppeting shit behind the scenes?
I believe he's genuinely gone, but. Keep in mind, the people that are in charge now are his daughter and the CEO that he handpicked, and the head of creative is his son-in-law. So, yeah, it's, you know, probably not that much different. Him being not there anymore is probably a distinction without a difference.
Yeah.
Especially since there are other folks that he worked closely with that are still there too, so...
Yeah, so, you know, it's one of those, like, I get it, we all have to, and I'm not saying other people have to make the same decision as me, far from it, but it'll be a pretty easy, well, that's a shame, I like these games, but I won't be taking part in them.
No, that's
Yeah.
fair. Absolutely. Trying to think where to go next. Certain Affinity is currently working on a new part of Halo Infinite that has never been in a Halo game.
Sorry.
It's a battle royale.
You think?
Who's Certain Affinity?
Oh, they're a very good company. They've made a lot of things.
Other ex-Bungie employees. Okay, curious that they're back on Halo. Is that because 343
is incompetent half the time? Feels that
wow.
way anyway.
They've worked on Halo, Call of Duty, World of Tanks.
Yeah,
Thank
they've
you
done
for
a
being
few.
friend.
Oh, god damn it. Anyway.
Okay, so that is everybody has to go and watch the recent Internet Historian. His ad is for World of Tanks, and the puns are terrible. And he's like, I think he says, I'm legally obligated to say thank you for being a friend.
Jesus Christ.
Imagine World War II, but with tanks.
Alright,
His
I'm
ads are the
moving on.
best.
I'm moving
By
on.
the way, I'm looking at all their projects. Holy shit. Hogwarts Legacy, Halo Infinite, Call of Duty, Modern Warfare 2 Remastered, Crackdown 3. These guys have touched everything. Mafia 3, Doom 2016.
This is a studio that once they're done with this Halo contract, people feel like Microsoft should snatch them up, because if they don't, somebody will. Alright, your favorite game continues to make news. Apparently a game called Silent Hill, The Short Message, was rated in Korea.
Okay. Listen, I have no issue. My issue is that, like, it's probably not going to be good.
Yeah, I'm there with you, but...
You know, like, I mean, think about all the post-Team Silent Hill games. There you go.
I liked the one that the Collective
Downpour?
made.
Oh no, that's Shattered Memories?
I don't remember which one it is. The same
Was
team
it the
that
one
did
without
Buffy.
no combat?
Was it the one without combat? I thought it was the one with combat because the Collective made it, right?
Hold on. The Collective.
They made Buffy. They made oh shit! What was that other game they made?
I'm looking. They made Silent Hill Homecoming.
Homecoming. That's the one.
Okay. They're
Like that-
fine.
Yeah.
It's they're fine. My issue is that, like, none of them are, like, great.
No, let's be fair. No Silent Hill game has been as good as Silent Hill 2 since Silent Hill 2. Let's just
And
put that out there.
So as someone that's dove into the Silent Hill lore and have watched a ton of videos on it, and I'm still interested in playing them, just stay with me here. Silent Hill 1 is a fascinating, like, oh my god, I don't know how they pulled this off. 2 does something completely different with, like, no staff. One guy does all the CG work by himself. It seems impossible. They do something really smart. 3 returns back to 1, like 1's sort of lore and stuff. 4 is a weird experiment. I've heard people don't like it, but I think the experimental idea of it is neat.
Yeah.
Then you have, like, Origins that misses the point, Homecoming, which is fine, Downpour, which is fine.
Remember the Vita game?
Yeah, I was gonna say the game from Way Forward that no one seems to like because it's really not Silent Hill. And it's just like, and then there's another one too that I don't remember.
People
But,
seem to really like the Wii one.
That's Shattered Memories.
Yeah,
And,
people
Shattered
really like
Memories
that one.
is because it's weird and experimental as well, but it's just like, so you either go back to like the original Silent Hill sort of stuff where it's a lot of witches and occult and weird stuff like that, or and honestly, like, every time they seem to touch that story, they seem to not do a very good job. Or they go into this is your inner psyche that's coming out in the town, and none of them are as good as Silent Hill 2 because Silent Hill 2 doesn't tell you that. until like the very end of the game, and everybody knows about it now. But that's like there's an art to it, and like I don't know which one is the Bloober Team game, but like I just don't think Bloober Team makes very good games either. So like we're taking like a series that really hasn't done all that well since the original team left, and I'm not saying they're bad. I'm just not well, right? And then we're handing it to a team that just doesn't seem to make amazing games, and we're just gonna put those two together. Now I think there was 2 in development, so I don't know if this is that one or not.
This is not that one, and also something a lot of people overlook about Bloober Team. They don't handle mental health very well in their games.
Oh,
and
really?
Silent Hill is very much a mental health kind of game.
So, Silent Hill 2.
Yeah, Silent Hill 2, which is the one everybody...
Right.
latches
Everybody
onto.
thinks it, but like, yeah. So, something
which is
that's
the
been
rumor.
pointed out
The rumor. Well,
that
the
they're
big thing
doing
is
it.
that the rumor is that Bloober is remaking 2. So
Yeah.
there you go.
2 is like a... I've watched more than enough people talk about that game. The fact that everybody has something an interesting like take on it when there's so like actually like there's so little to that game when you start breaking down like on a code idea, it's fascinating. And honestly, like it's a game that should probably stay as what it is. I know that's really weird to come from the guy that says like games should be preserved, which I agree with. But like when you have this is a way I feel about a lot of stuff, including video games and music. When you have access to so much, it's hard to. I think things get muddled. Access to all the music on your phone or any video game, like if you've downloaded a bunch of ROMs and emulators ever, you generally don't play those games all the way through. It muddles the experience. So when you take a game that was built around limitations, like lots of limitations, and you're going to remake it on a console that has far less limitations, you're either going to make something that is far too close to the original to even really bother remaking it, or you're going to make something that's so much different than the original that, like, why even remake the game? Like, why remake it, right? So that's how I feel. It's what happened to the System Shock remake, actually. The reason why it's taken so long was they were making this game and they realized, like, guys, we don't have to actually stick to the original because we can do all this stuff that they couldn't do at the time. And they realized, oh my god, we're not remaking System Shock, we're just making our own version of System Shock, and that's not what we promised people. So they scrapped that and restarted. So it's just this, like, they're going to remake Silent Hill 2, okay, but they don't need the fog anymore. The fog was there to cover, technical issues, but it worked. They understood that. Like, all the models in Silent Hill 2, all the dead bodies, are of James Sunderland.
Spoilers.
Well, I mean,
I know.
They're hidden. They're obscured behind, like, blackness and stuff. Is it on purpose, or is it to save cost? Because they
Probably
obscure
both.
them.
Could be both.
Right.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is when you don't have to worry about that, I think the mystery disappears. Right? Like,
Yeah, there's a certain amount of creativity that was required when technical resources were lower.
and
At the same time, though, I definitely see where you're coming from, and I agree with it. But at the same time, I'll say also that and this is generally my issue with remakes, is while what they could do and the creativity they had to use to get around the technical problems, the limits of their creativity were also in place because of the technology that they had. So presumably, there are still games today that 20 years from now will say, oh, they did this really cool thing that fit the theme of the game because they had technical limitations that prevented them from doing what they really wanted to do. I think that's probably a constant throughout the evolution of the industry.
Yeah, and you get to a point nowadays where people try to mimic that, but when you're not limited by technology, it just comes off as disingenuous. It's like you're trying to capture this idea that was spawned from having to make do with what you had, that when you don't have to deal with that, it just doesn't have that same, it doesn't capture that same magic.
It's a I don't want to say nostalgia bait, but I know what you're talking about. Like all the horror games that are super dark and have the way that the shadow moves, or the pre-rendered backgrounds. It's clearly going for a hit of nostalgia. But I understand that to some extent with horror stuff and maybe even RPGs that use pre-rendered backgrounds, not that that's too often, because that is when the genres started to feel like separate beings. So I understand, like, I want to make a horror game. These were the best horror experiences. As we moved forward, they started to take on a different feel. I can understand returning to those, but you're right. It is this, like, but you don't have to do it this way anymore. Right? Like, it's not, like, you are choosing to make this pixelated mess. You're choosing to have the person's face not have a mouth and just kind of have, like, a mark where it would be in this pixelated mess that you call a face, like Metal Gear Solid textures on the face and stuff. But it's just, Ryan made a good point, but it would be more interesting to me if it was the original team returning to Silent Hill 2 and saying, okay, well, this was planned and we wanted to do this, but we couldn't do this, so here we can establish it, so it's almost like a director's cut or whatever you want to call it. That's more interesting to me than another team who, I'll say it, they probably played Silent Hill 2. I think their games show that they do have some understanding of horror. I don't think they're the worst team ever. I just don't think their games are the best games ever. But coming in as the audience sometimes, and I realize I just said, like, a bunch of people on YouTube that I've watched, whatever, has had these takes, but all their takes are different. And without being in the mind of the creator, you're going to filter this beloved game through the lens of a specific group of people. And if those people saw something completely different out of the game, it's going to piss off a lot of people. Like, I just don't see the winning scenario of remaking Silent Hill 2.
No, it's a lose-lose. Like, people will get excited, they'll be like, oh my god, it's back, and then they'll play it, and they'll be like, why does this exist?
Unlike remaking something that isn't as a critical darling as Silent Hill 2. Like, I don't think anybody's going to lose sleep over some changes they made in, say, Destroy All Humans.
No,
right?
No.
And I mean, maybe there is. I'm not discrediting people that have legitimate complaints. I'm just saying, like, it is a bit easier when you're not touching upon something that helped define a genre. Like, that's the reason why it's always interesting that Capcom remakes their stuff. They don't have, like, an external team do it. Like, Resident Evil 2 Remake is done by people that work on Resident Evil still. So there is some through line, even though the people that made Resident Evil 2 aren't there. They understand because they have been continuing on with the franchise. I don't know. It's a weird scenario where I every time the Silent Hill is brought up, I'm curious. I mean, I was curious to see what they would do in Metal Gear Survive, and the Metal Gear parts in that game are fun. The base building can suck all of my dick.
From behind, like Wombat said.
From behind. Oh, fuck. Bad game.
All right. I got a couple more news stories here. First, we're going to start with gaming Twitter was pissed because E3 has returned from June 13th to the 16th. It'll be back next year, run by Reed. Was it Reed Pop, I think is what it's called? The company that runs PAX. I don't know. I'm happy E3's back. Maybe that's just me. I like that.
I could not care less. I apologize.
No, it's fine. I just...
Whatever it's coming back as, speaking of like the way Silent Hill 2 is coming back, it is through the eyes of somebody else. This is not the same thing. It's just a label.
I appreciate what these shows do in the internet age, and don't appreciate it at the same time. Because, you know, pre-internet, the way we think of the internet now and social media and everything else, these places were a good way for journalists and the public and everybody else to see stuff and interact with stuff and get news on upcoming games. Anymore, it feels like really all they do is consolidate game news into one time period, as opposed to spreading it out. And it's good because it's fun. You get a couple days where you can just sit around watching game trailers and stuff like that and a bunch of new information. But unfortunately, I feel like what ends up happening is you end up with games that probably aren't ready to be shown, having to rush to put something out, and then it's just, like a CG trailer or something and everybody bitches about it. And games that are coming out close that don't want to release too much because they don't want to ruin anything, and then people bitch about that too. So almost as much as I like sort of the award show or game show kind of couple days and the hysteria that surrounds it, I kind of wish we would go to just games getting trailers and details and information released when the game is ready, as opposed to trying to consolidate it into a specific time of year.
Yeah. I think that's what they're gonna. This is what they were trying to do before E3 went away, and then now it got brought back. So it'll be interesting because Sony still doesn't participate in E3. So like, who else will not participate? Who knows? If you like to tune out for the Overwatch conversation, now is the time for the next couple minutes. So obviously the game is launching next week. One of the big things that they talked about that has caused the conversation on the internet is the way the game works free to play wise. Mostly the phone number thing. Like I saw a bunch of people saying I'm not giving my phone number to Blizzard to log into the game. Which I think is kind of funny because that's like two-factor or anything else. I don't know. I guess it's just not that big a deal to me. My phone is attached to most of my internet accounts. But this is mostly to try to prevent people from creating new accounts. Also, the conversation around how you have to play 50 matches before you can play competitive, that makes sense to me. And then the other story that I was talking to you about, Anthony, earlier, if you've never played Overwatch, you have to play 100 matches to unlock all of the original characters, which again makes sense because it's such a game of knowing the characters that if you just, if you don't spend the time to learn it, it's just not going to be a very fun experience for you. But that's it. That's all I'll talk about. I know I'm the only one that cares a lot about this stuff, so it'll be interesting to talk about next week when the game is actually out. All right. For the final story, I saved the best.
Please acknowledge my meme. Thank you.
I appreciate your Mean Girls meme. Okay? I do. Let's talk about the final story. Let's talk about a lot of things. Cloud gaming. Stadia is dead. Go ahead. Do it.
Stadia's dead.
There you go. Google announced this week that Stadia will be shutting down on January 18th, 2023. that'd be the last day you can play games. This is the good on them part. Every single purchase that anybody has made, hardware or software, is being refunded. Which to me tells me that it's not really that big of an investment to refund all those games. Nobody? Nobody cares?
I mean, I told you. We all told you. Like, I don't... There's no joy in this. It's like every time I have to come out and say, like, I told y'all, fucking Metroid Prime Trilogy, all this shit, it just, eventually you just go, fucking, I don't... Why aren't you listening to people that make sense? And this is very small crowd, at least. But, like...
Yeah.
Guys, like, you wouldn't have gotten an OnLive tattoo. And OnLive at least tried, and they were bought by Sony. Their tech was bought by Sony. Google has a history of shutting things down, and when this came out, when this was announced, everybody's like, yeah, how long will this last? And hey, it lasted longer than I guess most of us thought it was going to last, but, like, barely.
Yeah, I think it outdid my prediction by, like, 6 months. So...
But, like, I don't know. This just... What a dumb fucking idea. The world's infrastructure for internet in most places doesn't support this. Like, I just don't get... And then they're selling games for, like, full price, but you don't own anything. There's no download. Like, everything... What a terrible business model. And it's like...
Yeah.
It was a pie-in-the-sky idea. And some of the concepts were neat. Like, oh, you can watch a YouTube video and then just kind of jump in where the person was playing. But, like... Okay...
Well, the technology also is the best that I've tried. So I've tried all of the cloud streaming except for Luna, and Stadia by far, excuse me, is the best one. Like, the technology itself works.
But do you still want to play it on that way?
No, I played.
Yeah.
I played for like a month to test it out, and then I never wanted to play it again. But to be fair, I don't play xCloud except to complete quests that I don't want to download the game for. Like, if it just asks me to boot a game up, I'll boot it through the cloud just so I could get the tick, and then I'd close it.
So all these fucking sycophants that were like, oh, this is the greatest thing ever, fucking Stadia crew, or whatever their hashtag was. I don't even remember. It's not. I remember
the Stadia 100, which I always joked was the amount of people that had a Stadia account.
Yeah. You should be embarrassed. To the man that got the Stadia tattoo, I'm glad that people have something to identify you with and laugh at you.
Also, can we talk about... So, a couple things around this story. Can we talk about the fact that Phil Harrison is the Grim Reaper of gaming? Like, holy shit.
Who is that?
So, Phil Harrison was around during the PS3 launch. He was at Sony during the PS3 launch. He was at Microsoft for the Xbox One launch. He was the man in charge of Stadia. Think about those three statements I just made.
Yep.
How does he keep getting head of anything?
Oh, that happens a lot.
People fail
in the
upwards.
corporate world. People fail upward all the time.
I joked on Twitter.
Although in his case, I can't exactly say going from Xbox to Stadia was a failure upward.
Google?
Google's a pretty big company.
But not Google. It's not like he left Microsoft to be the head of Google.
Well, he didn't head Microsoft, though. He headed Xbox.
I know. That's why I'm saying it's not a failure upward.
All right,
That's
a
true.
lateral
If he was the
failure.
CEO of Microsoft and left to be the CEO of Google, then maybe, we would talk about failing upward.
failed
But
laterally.
He left Microsoft's game division to go to Google Stadia.
I joked on Twitter that his next stop was Nintendo, and then I went, no!
No.
Yeah, I just... And I remember us having a talk about all the Google Stadia devs that got fired, and I said something that came off a little mean, but this was always going to be the end of this. There was no way this was going to succeed. It doesn't take a lot of work to figure that out. Have you ever waited for a page to load on your phone? Well,
Yes.
Congratulations. You've now proven why fucking streaming a goddamn video game is not going to work out. Have you ever gone over your internet cap? That's a thing that exists in some places in America. And so they're going to constantly stream a game. So it's not just a one time 100 gig download. No. It's a constant streaming of a high definition video as well as sending inputs away. Like, insane. This was something that, like, was made inside Google, who has the infrastructure to support something like that, and they went, this will work everywhere. That's a, you've spent too much time in this building idea. Like,
Yeah,
of course
that's
it
fair.
works. It's like when the Kinect came out and people were having trouble with it in their home. Well, yeah, because everywhere that they were working on it was in a brightly lit environment, right? Not in a house setting. So these ideas that these tech companies sometimes come up with work well in the tech world, in Silicon Valley, but don't work in the real world very well. There's a ton of those. Like, all these companies have ideas like this. I'm not just shitting on Google here, but it's just like, this is a prime example of like one of those coming out and it not really being set up for the world at all. And so, like, when all those devs lost their jobs, it was like, yeah, but like, you were making a game for a console, or console quotations, that like a good portion of America cannot play with any reasonable quality to it. People are still on dial-up in America. That sounds crazy, but the amount of people that are still like signed to American Online is absurd. Now, some of those people are probably paying for it still and don't realize it. But
Yeah, really.
it's just like, this was, again, like, all it needed was one person to be like, is this really going to work in the middle of nowhere, or is this literally just for like like internet infrastructure places? Also from the same company that was doing Google Fiber and then bailed on that as well, which tells me that they know that the internet infrastructure isn't good enough to support this, but they didn't want to put the effort in to make sure everybody had infrastructure as well. Like, this is one of those also where the different parts of the same company aren't really talking to each other. Google knows that the internet's not good enough. Here's a game that requires good internet to use. They've locked the subreddit, by the way.
That doesn't shock me. A couple of other notes about this. Apparently, developers learned about this at the same time the rest of the world did. So, like, people who had games scheduled to come out for Stadia did not even know they were shutting it down. Like, they were still working on the games. Also, another story that came out of this was apparently Stadia turned down the sequel to Death Stranding. Like, they were offered the game and they turned it down because they said we didn't want a single player game. Like, they wanted a multiplayer game. Once again, I reiterate Phil Harrison. Like, boy, you make some bad calls. That's all I'm gonna say.
I mean, this whole thing was a bad call.
100%. And it's funny because I'm sure you saw the picture floating around online of when they first debuted Stadia. It was sitting next to a Dreamcast and a Power Glove. And a copy of E.T. Not really the company. Yeah, not really the company you want to be in. Just.
Yeah. Somebody. There's a 42 minutes ago discussion. I'm sad about Stadia. That's all. I'm just sad.
I mean, that's fair.
I mean, yeah. But, like, I have some good news for you. Assassin's Creed 4 is available for, like, $10 on most consoles.
Yeah, I guess Ubisoft has said they're trying to move the saves to PC so people can just continue their game.
That was the biggest, like, sign for me. It was, like, when they were like, we have Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flag. Like, that game came out on fucking PS3, boys. Like, that was the beginning of the PS4. Yeah, and you could
Jesus
upgrade
Christ.
for, like, $5, I think, was
But you had to put the disc in, remember?
Yes,
you had
yes,
to put
yeah.
the disc in?
Yeah.
That was such a weird thing, right?
But like, that's... Yeah. And somebody wrote here, and this is actually, I'm going to just comment on this, too. Rest in peace is Stadia. You hardly tried being relevant like Google Glass. Google Glass is a prime example of, here's a good idea, we're not going to see it through. Now, I know part of it came from the public perception of Google Glass, which is dumb because everybody carries a fucking phone in their pocket with a camera and a microphone at all times. So, like, really, what's the difference? But we are now in the world of, like, understanding augmented reality. Pokemon Go is still pretty big. So Google abandoned a concept that they literally build into their phones now as a Glass app. Imagine not having to hold up a fucking small tablet, essentially, to read another language. That's what they had with potentially these glasses, and they were like, yeah, we're done here.
Google doesn't continue on anything, so there's a reason why there's a Google graveyard.
I'm pretty sure the only reason why YouTube's around is just that it's a sunk cost fallacy now.
Well, that and it doesn't really have much competition, truly.
If the moment competition came along, though, I could see YouTube just slowly fading away.
If it was better, 100%, Google would just be like, well, guess that's over.
Oh my god. As a founder, my airing out of it all. This is the only other one I'll read. I've spent probably 1,000 plus on equipment, games, add-ons, thank you Dead by Daylight, etc. That being said, I went all in because Google did say that they'd refund everything if they closed it down. They're sort of honoring that. I feel we should also get the Pro sub back as well because we own those games. That's why I paid for the subscription. Now it feels like I was just renting the games.
No.
First of all, you stupid idiot.
No.
You spent 1,000 on equipment, games, and add-ons. You could have just bought a console. You decided to buy into a fluffy dream. I have a pyramid scheme I can sell you.
Dude, you don't... Anybody who ever asks for their subscription fees to be refunded is a fucking moron. You know, just because they took away your Netflix movies at the beginning of the month doesn't mean you get your $20 back.
And my Pro Sub back as well because we own those games. You owned nothing. That was the whole point of this stupid idea. Like, you don't own
yeah, it's
anything.
even in the wording.
You don't own
it's in the
anything
wording
on
of the
most
contract.
consoles. I understand that. But, like, you literally... What if the server was shut down for a day, you couldn't access your games. That was the fucking point of this whole thing. I'm a little bummed. I've tried Luna, Xbox Cloud stuff. Stadia was the best by far. Ken, you said that? It will be missed in our household. We all loved Cake Bash. We bought it before it was free. Jesus Christ. At minimal, turn the Bluetooth on the controllers and let them live another day, as I love the Stadia controller feel. That's another thing, too. Apparently, the Bluetooth mode is, like, locked out.
Yes, it's only Wi-Fi. The controllers are only Wi-Fi.
So... there is apparently rumblings that they might turn the Wi-Fi on, just so it's not a bunch of tech trash, because that would be a really bad look.
I have one of those controllers. I could use another Bluetooth controller.
Right. So that is a thing that they might be working on, which is at least nice. If not, someone will figure it out, I'm sure.
Oh yeah, you'll be able to flash it with some firmware or something.
Yeah. Just bummed. I didn't game for 10 plus years except for Rocksmith. I'm a guitarist. So this is something that got me and my kids into console gaming again, albeit without the console. But the cost you spent on this, there was nothing easy about this setup that was easier than just buying a console and plugging it in. Right?
Yeah,
like that's
I
where
don't-
that's
I
where
don't-
I've never understood this product. You still needed a little stick that you plug into the back of your thing. You have to hook up the controller. Like, those are all standard console things. Then you had to actually sign in with an account. Not something you actually have to do with consoles, really, because not everybody needs a PSN account. Although at that point, let's just say you do that. What was easier about Stadia? Again, like, it just was this answer to a question no one asked. My 5-year-old was actually crying over losing it because he loves it so much. I mean, it's your only console, of course. He's going to miss video games. I guess we are lucky that we'll get our money back for most spent. I could live without the Pro Sub refund, but it only feels fair, especially for founders that supported from day one. Sorry, just venting here as a diehard Stadia fan and evangelist. That's on you. Everyone else told you this was a bad idea. There's
They came up with their own name for themselves. You know that?
Stadians.
Stadians.
It's like it's weird to see plastic box warriors without a plastic box.
Yeah, what are you? You're a cloud warrior.
I talked about the tech many times on my popular business vodcast.
Cool.
Okay.
Your
Now I
business
feel like
must
a
not be
goof for
booming.
believing in Google. Good. You should, and this goes for a bunch of things. You should always feel bad when you defend companies blindly. Always feel bad. They just want your money.
Man, ain't none of them give a shit about you.
They would grind you into pulp if it meant that they could power their machines another day for free.
Orphan crushing
Machine.
Back.
One question. As stated, my business vodcast, I'm not plugging you, we have, because he wrote it down, we have been talking about the upcoming recession, how the tech industry is rescinding employment offers and tightening their belts, getting ready for some economic turmoil. Even my YouTube ad revenue is 10% of what it was 6 months ago, with more views as companies pull marketing. Is this perhaps just a segment that was literally bleeding so much money for them that they need to save $100 million plus over the next few years of cost and development? I can't imagine they were pouring that much money into this at all. Anyways, at this point, that's me saying that.
They killed all. What kills me most about Stadia is how bad the business decisions were. They killed most of the first party stuff. They didn't buy any studios. They didn't nurture any studios, and instead they spent obscene amounts of money to get games like 4-year-old Assassin's Creed titles on the service.
And Ubisoft will put that shit anywhere. Does everybody remember when the Wii came out and they fucking just inundate fucking Far Cry? Whatever the Far Cry game is, it's a terrible fucking Far Cry game. They put on the
Ubisoft
Wii.
don't care. They're everywhere.
Red Steel 1. They're just like, fuck you. Put it out. 100 plus million over the next few years of cost and development, and was more an economic cutback by Google rather than a failure. No. It was a failure.
It was a failure.
The fact that I couldn't go into I go into Walmart.
Dude, if you're refunding all of the purchases, it was a failure.
It wasn't an economic cutback at that point. Oh my god. Hence, instead of waiting it out, their BI predictions say a rough road is ahead and it had to be cut. That's what I feel. You're an idiot. You're an idiot.
But he has a business podcast.
Oh my
it's clearly-
god, don't... I can't... now in good conscience, I can't...
No, he has a vodcast.
Yeah, I can't
Oh,
send
sorry.
you to his Shark Bite biz, because clearly I know more about this fucking business than this dink does. So, oh my god, yeah, if it was really, just hemorrhaging money, you don't get anything back. They just write you off and go, fuck you. I understand Google has a lot of money, but if it was really hemorrhaging that amount, or was going to, you don't get anything back. Funny enough, speaking of things that hemorrhaged money, Tommy Tallarico is currently selling off a bunch of shit of his.
I wonder why.
Yeah, I wonder why. His dev kits for Super Nintendo, a bunch of Spider-Man stuff. He has a Spider-Man statue in his room, by the way. So he's in rough times.
Hot.
Yeah, we fuck with the Spider-Man statue facing the bed. Yeah, that's what I feel. The tech was solid. It was amazing. Regardless of the reason, I, for one, and my family are heartbroken. It's okay to be
over fucking Stadia?
It's okay to be
Come
disappointed. But the fact that you have not played games for 10 plus years tells me you know nothing about this. No gamer was like, I want to not own a console anymore. Unless the cost effectiveness was great. But it wasn't. It wasn't with Stadia. You still had to buy a controller and the the Chromecast. But it needed to be a specific Chromecast. You couldn't just use any Chromecast. You need to buy a subscription, then you need to buy the games because that's horseshit. And it's just...
Hey, to be fair, there was an app on my LG TV to play Stadia, which I never did, by the way.
But it's just like, so, yeah, but you still need to pay for a subscription. Then,
yes.
And you still need to have a controller that could hook up to it.
Well, you don't have to pay for the subscription if you just buy the games, but you only get them in, 1080p or 720p or something?
Dumb. It was that's already too much for the average consumer. So you were so out of it that you thought this was the easy dive back in. And I don't know who sold you that lie. If it was Google, good on them. But
Bill Harrison.
It's just of course you're upset. You clearly don't know anything about video games. You just don't. Because again, all the money you spent, over $1,000, could have bought you a PS4, could have bought you extra controllers, could have bought you a couple of games.
Get you a fucking Switch, man.
Yeah. Then you can take it on the go too. So it's
because it switches.
Yeah.
That's right. Do the sound.
Wow, that was actually pretty good sound again. Yeah, it's just irritating. It's irritating because, and it's not just me, but a lot of people were saying these exact same things, and these people were unwilling to hear it. And now they're like, I can't believe this would have happened. I don't understand how everybody around you can be like, this is bad. This is not a good idea. And you're like, no, it's a good idea. You're the same idiot that falls into an MLM. And it's like, I can't help you. You're just overzealous about this. You don't get it at all. You just think you understand. This guy runs a business. Yeah.
Yep.
This is the most embarrassing failure I think Google has had.
Yeah. That's it for the news. I do want to give one special PSA. Crystal Dynamics sent out a Legacy of Kain survey. Y'all motherfuckers need to fill that out.
And that's why I hope that Saudi Arabia is not buying Embracer.
But don't fill it out if your number one vote is going to be for a remaster.
I will take anything at this point. I'm groveling for scraps.
No. Don't want a remaster.
I said I want a new game.
Of course I want a new game.
That was my number
one.
one.
If it's a choice between a remaster and nothing, I'll take.
Well, but if it's going to be if they're going to redo one of the old ones, do a remake.
Sure. I mean, even that, but I'd still take a remaster just to have something.
Would you want it to be a visual novel? No. No, I would not.
I mean, none of the original.
Or a strategy RPG.
Or what's that? What there was what was the multiplayer game? That was a
MMO.
Fuck what?
Oh
no, it wasn't an
you're
MMO.
Talking the oh god. Yeah, I said no to that as well when they were like, what genres would you not want it to be? And it was like MMO, team-based shooter,
MOBA.
Nosgoth, by the way.
Nosgoth,
yeah.
That's the game.
See, asymmetrical online multiplayer action game. Another one that failed.
I don't want to play Legacy of Kain with anybody but myself. Anyway.
I don't know. Hold on.
Correct.
Side note there. I would totally... I would be okay if I could, in Devil May Cry 5, when you could see other people playing at times. Remember that?
Yeah, but I don't want to play with them.
No, I don't want to play with them either, but I'd be totally willing to see, I'm playing as Kain, and, there's a guy playing as Azrael down there, and I can just watch him slaughter a bunch of guys. You're like, all right, that's pretty awesome. That was a cool mechanic.
All right,
Sorry, I'm just pointing that out because I was thinking about Devil May Cry 5 the other day. It's a good game.
Well, you should. It's a great game.
Bang, bang, bang. That's my Devil Trigger.
That is the end of the show. If you want to tweet us at N4G Podcast, which, by the way, we don't have any tweets. If you want to send us an email, which, by the way, we don't have any emails, it's podcasts@ztgd.com. Send us fuck on your letters.
Tell me I'm wrong. Send an email to the show and tell me I'm wrong about Stadia being a failure.
Nobody that likes Stadia listens to this show.
Look, I'm glad you're getting your money back. That I will say. I think if they sold you on a lie, this was going to be a good idea, and they're giving you your money back, good. I wish more companies did stuff like that. I'll give them credit on that one. I should be nice about that. But.
Yep. If you want to follow us on Twitter, I'm at ZTGD, Ryan's at WombatRP. Anthony's not on Twitter. No. He's a smart man. You can follow the site at ZTGD Content. Also check out Phoenix Down. Sinking City episode will be up this week.
Last one.
Well, no, there's this one and then there's one more, right? Or was this the last one?
This was the last one. The one we recorded Thursday was the last episode.
Gotcha.
Spoilers,
okay, so
everybody.
that'll be up this
Spoilers,
week.
Everybody. I'm sorry about that ending. That was a Mass Effect ending.
So that episode will be up this week, so check that out. I don't have anything else.
We're starting up,
I'm going to warn you.
Because number I don't remember.
6. It's the baby one.
I can't believe they've made it this far through them this quickly.
Dude, that's a lot of Yakuza.
I'd be Yakuza out.
Absolutely. I think I got Yakuza out after 2. Like 2 back-to-back games. I can't imagine doing 6. Holy shit.
Are they continuing into Like a Dragon after?
I don't know. I don't know if they'll do Like a Dragon. They should. That's a fucking fantastic game until you hit the difficulty wall. But
it's an RPG, right? Yeah.
Yes,
so
turn-based.
You just have to grind, unfortunately.
You have to grind the sewers, which brings that game to a screeching halt at like the apex of its story.
Does it?
It sucks. It sucks so bad. I love that game, but that thing almost killed it.
I think Ryan has to play that as part of his Dragon Quest playthrough, because that game is heavily based off of Dragon Quest.
I mean, it's like they even play the music at one point, and he talks about how much he loves Dragon Quest. So,
yeah, that's not on the list.
Have you? Side note, just because have you played 11?
I started it, yes, but I bailed on it because I knew I was going to play through all the rest of them.
That game reminded me, like, oh, that's right, JRPGs can be really good.
Yeah, I think I was probably 6 or 7 hours in when I bailed on
where
it.
I'm talking about where I was like, oh wow, okay, hitting some old school vibes here. I was playing on the original version. I'm sure it'd be more interesting to play on the S version, but
yeah, I have the Switch version.
That was brought into the Xbox version, wasn't it? The 2D version?
So the only version you can get now is the S version.
Okay, that's what I thought.
Graphics are a little less,
I think I remember.
You have like a full orchestrated soundtrack. You can go into the pixelated mode.
Cool. That's the one that I own, so...
Yeah, there's like a halfway point story moment in there, and I was like, oh my god.
I need to go back and play that too. I only made it about 2 hours in, and then I just fell off.
There's some neat shit in that game that I'm like, yeah, Also, the slimes have never looked better, and that's the most important part of all those games.
Well, obviously.
Slimes.
But that's it for the show this week. Be sure to tune in next week for episode 718, the Overwatch episode. I apologized already in advance. I can't help it.
It'll be just Ken next weekend.
I'll just be sitting here talking to myself. So I was playing as Sombra.
I almost wanted to make a for this episode. I wanted to make a Drew soundboard. Maybe I should set that up for next weekend.
Oh yeah, make a Drew soundboard. It'll be the first time he's been on the show in years. But that's it for this. Unless anybody says anything else, we'll get out of here. Peace, bitches.
Alrighty, and it goes something like this.
Epic fail. to the N4G Podcast. $0.
This is going to be a very interesting episode.
Gavin
Greetings, programs. I got lost trying to find my way to the secret underground N4G Radio lair.
the Wombat, and
I've always lived being angry.
Killer Wolverine. Play games, not consoles. No fanboys allowed.
And then I killed the dragon.
Killed the dragon.